Now let us consider incompatible observables. So this idea is the opposite of compatible observables. Suppose we have we have two operators A and B. They are incompatible if their commutator is non-zero. Okay, that means two non-commuting operators are called incompatible operators or incompatible observables. Let us consider examples. We know from the spin-half system in the discussion of sequential Stern-Gerlach experiments, we have deduced that Sx and Sz components or any two components of spin are incompatible, and the commutator relation between them we can write like Sh Sx is IH cross Sy. Okay, so these two components of spin are incompatible, and any two components of spin you can write this cyclically, Sx Sy, Sy Sz, etc. These are all incompatible. Any two components of spin are incompatible because the commutator is non-zero or they are non-commuting operators. So commuting operators are called compatible observables, non-commuting operators are called incompatible observables. And this is the theorem related to incompatible operators. Incompatible operators do not share a common set of eigenkets. That's why they are called incompatible. Okay, we have proved that compatible observables share a common set of eigenkets. We have also proved the converse statement, and that means that if two operators share a common set of eigenkets, they are compatible, they are commuting. So that itself serves as the proof of this statement. If the operators are non-commuting, if they are incompatible, they cannot have a common set of eigenkets. And exactly the meaning incompatible means this. We often see this type of a statement that two incompatible observables cannot be simultaneously measured or cannot be simultaneously specified. What does it mean? That statement means just this. They cannot be measured one after the other without disturbing the results of measurement. Remember the discussion on sequential Stern-Gerlach experiment. We started with the same initial state, Sz plus, get Sz plus. Then first we measure Sz, okay. Then we measure Sx. We get some final state. Half the particles in Sx plus and half the particles in Sx minus. And the intensity is reduced by half, from 1000 particles to 500 particles. We start with the same Sz plus, same initial state. Then we measure Sx. After that we measure Sz. Okay, we change the order of measurement. Then what happens is half the particles are now in the Sz plus state, half in Sz minus state. That means final states are different. So if we change the order of measurement, okay, and if we sequentially measure these observables one after the other, then it disturbs the results of measurement. Okay. Whereas if they were compatible observables, then whatever be the order in which we measure these observables, the final results will not change. So incompatible because if we measure them sequentially one after the other, this simultaneous measurement doesn't mean that we are measuring at the same time. The word simultaneous means something else. Okay, so it only means that if we measure them one after the other, then the measurement of one observable, let us say a set, disturbs the results of the measurement of the other observable, let's say Sx. And also the order in which we measure them are important. Depending upon the order in which we measure them, the final states are different. Okay. Whereas for compatible observables, the order is not important. That's why they are commuting operators. Here, incompatible observables remain non-commuting operators. So the incompatibility comes because the sequential measurement of one of observable and the other observable disturbs the results of measurement, and we get completely different final states. And what does this simultaneous means? It means only this. They don't have a common set of eigengates. So this word common, another word that we use is simultaneous. Okay, incompatible operators do not share a simultaneous set of eigengates. So simultaneous simply means common. So they cannot be simultaneously measured, means we cannot measure them in a common set of eigengates. There are no such common set of eigengates. Okay, let us consider this idea of sharp variable and dispersed variable. Okay, so these are connected with the compatible and incompatible variables. We have already seen that suppose we measure an operator, okay, we measure a physical quantity in a particular state of the system, okay. Mathematically we say that the corresponding operator is acting on the the ket vector of the system. The state is represented by a ket, and the variable, physical variable, is represented by an operator. So measurement of a physical quantity in a particular state is mathematically represented by action of the operator, corresponding Hermitian operator, on the ket, on the vector of the state. Now suppose there are two possibilities now. Suppose this ket is an eigenket of this operator, okay. Then what is the result of each measurement of the physical quantity? What you get is, let us say we make some 10 trials, okay. Then what are the results of each trial? Each time what you get is, in each individual measurement what you get is the same eigenvalue like this, okay. So we have seen this situation. When a system is in an eigenket of the operator, each individual measurement will give the same eigenvalue. In such a situation, we say that this operator A, or this variable A, is sharp in the state alpha. Okay, the operator A, or the physical quantity A, is sharp in the state alpha because its values are sharp. There is only a single value. Okay. Now consider the situation A acting on some state beta, which is not an eigenket of A. Okay, if it is not an eigenket of the operator, then we call it a general state. Okay. Then in such a situation, what are the results of measurement? And here what happens is, this is a general state for operator, right? Then when you measure this physical quantity in this state, then suddenly what is the result of each individual measurement? Any one eigenvalue of this operator. Okay, so maybe the first time we get A1, then what happens? This general state collapses to the corresponding eigenket, let us say ket A1. Then we start with the second. Again we consider, remember we make the measurements in an ensemble of identically prepared states. So we have a collection of identically prepared states, or identically prepared systems in the same state ket beta. So we make the next trial. That means we take the second member from the ensemble and we make the measurement again. So then this time the result of measurement may be another eigenvalue A2. Then that means the state collapses from the general state ket beta to the corresponding eigenket ket A2, and this goes on. So the results of measurement may be like this: A1, A2, A3, etc. Different eigenvalues. Okay. Now in this case we say that the physical variable A is dispersed in the state beta. Dispersed. See, there is a spread, diffused or dispersed. So this is the difference between sharp variable and dispersed variable. Okay, the same physical quantity can be sharp in one state when it is in the eigenstate of the operator. It can be diffused in another state when it is in the it is in a general state. It is not in an eigenstate of the operator. Okay. So it depends upon this combination, operator as well as the state. So the same operator can be sharp and dispersed in two different states. The same state, for example, in this state A is sharp. Maybe if you consider another physical quantity in this state, if this is not the eigenstate of that physical quantity, say B, then A is sharp in this state, but B can be dispersed in this state. That is possible. So the same, if two different operators act on the same state, one can be sharp, the other can be dispersed. If the same operator acts on two different states, in one state it can be sharp, in the other state it can be dispersed. So it depends upon this combination of operator as well as the state. Now consider this case. Okay, when a physical quantity is dispersed in a particular state, then here we can find the average of the physical quantity, right? We can find average, the average of a large number of measurements. Here also we can find the average, but since all the individual trials use the same eigenvalue, average will be sharp. Okay, average will be, we can say here in this case, average will be same as A. You make 10 trials, in each trial you get the same value A. You take the average, you get the same value A. Okay, or the expectation value is equal to eigenvalue in this case. Here, expectation value is different from the because each eigenvalue in each trial we get different eigenvalues. So expectation value is only a weighted average of the eigenvalues. Okay, expectation value is something like this: summation over I. I is the number of trials. What you get is each eigenvalue multiplied by the probability of getting that eigenvalue, and this probability is, we know, okay, maybe I can write it like this, and this probability is the square of the expansion coefficients. That means what expansion coefficients? This general ket can be expressed as a linear combination of the eigenkets of A corresponding to these eigenvalues, and each expansion coefficient, something like C1 ket A1 plus C2 ket A2 plus C3 ket A3, etc. And this probability of getting each eigenvalue as the result of measurement is simply the square of these expansion coefficients. Okay. Okay, these things we have seen before, but let us consider this thing. Here, if it is dispersed, we can find the expectation value or the average value, which will be different, which will be different from each individual value. Okay. In general, it will be different. Now, what you can do is we can find a measure of the spread of these individual results from the average result. For example, how much is A1 different from average value? How much is A2 different from this average value? How much is A3 different from this average value? We can find this spread. Now, this spread can be measured in different ways, or it can be calculated in different ways. And one way of calculating this spread is, okay, this is a spread. Qualitatively, we can say spread. And this one way is to calculate the standard deviation. Standard deviation. Okay. There are other ways also, other measures of spread, and one commonly used measure is standard deviation, and this is what we will be using here also. So we use standard deviation to specify the spread in this case of dispersed situation. So the standard deviation is what? It's standard deviation is same as root mean square deviation. Root mean square deviation. We can use the symbol delta A for that. Okay, this is first you take the deviation, that is A minus A average, By A I mean each individual result. Okay, so we take the difference between individual measurement and the average value. Okay, individual result and the average value, that's a deviation. Then if you take the mean of this deviation, it will be 0, because half the data points will be above the average value, half the data points will be below the average value. So the mean of this deviation will always be 0. So what you do is we take the square. Okay, then we find the mean value. This is called the mean square deviation. This is called deviation. When you take the square, it is square deviation. When you take average value, you get mean square deviation. And then, since we have taken the square, in order to get back the same dimension, you take the square root. Okay, so this is square root of the mean of the squares of individual deviations. That's called root mean square deviation. Okay, this word actually expresses the operation that we are doing in the reverse order. Okay, first you take the deviation, then you take the square, you get square deviation, then you take the mean, then you take mean square, you get mean square deviation, finally you take the square root. Okay, so that is root mean square deviation. And this quantity is called standard deviation. Okay. So there are different words used for this. For example, there is the word mean. The square of the standard deviation is called the mean square deviation, as I have mentioned. It's also called variance. Sometimes we use the word dispersion for that. And the square root of the mean square deviation is root mean square deviation, also called standard deviation. And another name that is commonly used is uncertainty. Uncertainty. Okay, so these words are common. Okay, the mean square deviation and variance and dispersion are commonly the same words used for that, the same quantity. And root mean square deviation, standard deviation, and uncertainty are the square root of that mean square deviation. So it means some spread, some error. It's a measure of the error or spread in the individual measurements from the average value. How much the individual measurements deviate from the average value or disperse from the average value. Okay. So this can also be called dispersion. Sometimes the square of mean square deviation is called dispersion. We can also call root mean square deviation as the dispersion. So it all depends upon how we look at dispersion. So we use this term uncertainty. We define it like this. It's actually the standard deviation, and the standard deviation we calculate like this. Okay. So let us see, and first I will show that this mean square deviation we can calculate in another way. Let us maybe I will write here. Okay. This is mean square deviation, right? This is A minus A average square. And then we take the mean. This is mean square deviation. Finally, if you take one square root, we get root mean square deviation. And suppose you expand this bracket. So it is average of, you expand this bracket. This is like A minus B whole square. So what you get? A square minus 2AB. B is average value of A. And finally B square plus average value of A square. And you take the average of the whole thing. There is an average here. Okay. Let us continue here. So delta A square equals. So let us take the average of each term. So the first term is A square average minus the second term 2. Here this A average is a number. You cannot again take the average of the average. Okay, it's a single number. So there is this A whose average you can take. So what you have here is A average into A average plus then finally A average square. A average square, it's also again a number, the square of the average. If you again take average, you get the same number. So this is what you get. Then finally, you can simplify this as A square average minus, this is 2 times A average square. and there is plus A average square. So minus 2 A average square and plus A average square will simplify, you can cancel. What you get is minus A average square. So this mean square deviation you can simplify as A square average minus A average square. Therefore, this root mean square deviation delta A, this is, you can write as square root of this one, right? So instead of calculating it like this, you can also calculate it like this, that is A square average minus A average square root. So this and this are identical. Here we are taking root mean square deviation. Here what we are doing is take the average of A square, take the average of A and then square. Okay, average of A square is in general different from average A square. These are different. Okay, here we are taking, I will show an example. Okay, so these two quantities will be, so take the average of A square and take the average of A and then square it and take the difference, and this square root will be the uncertainty. Instead you can calculate it like this also. So I will take a simple data set and I will show that the way of calculating it like this and this will be identical. So my point is, if a physical quantity is dispersed in a particular state, as in this case, it means that in each individual measurement we get different eigenvalues. This happens when the state is not an eigenset of the operator. Now in this situation we can find the average value and also we can find the spread of individual values from the average value, and the spread is measured in terms of standard deviation, which is also commonly called uncertainty in A. Okay, and this uncertainty you can calculate either this way or this way. Let us look at a concrete example. Consider this situation. Suppose we measure A in a particular state. And first let us consider the situation. The state is an eigenset of the operator. Then we make 3 trials. Let us make it simple for calculation. So we make 3 trials and in each trial we get the eigenvalue 2. We say that the variable A is sharp in this state because in each trial we get the same eigenvalue. Here, what is the average value? Average value is 2. Okay. 2 plus 2 plus 2 divided by 3. Okay. 6 by 3, we get 2. Let's find the dispersion of, obviously what is the dispersion now, or what is the spread? There is no spread. Okay, spread must be 0. Let's calculate that. What is the delta A square? Mean square deviation, what is the form of that? A square average minus A average square. We know what is A average. What is, let us calculate A square. So what are the A square values? A square values is 4, 4, 4. Okay. So what is A square average? Again 4. Then what is delta A square? A square average, that is this one 4 minus A average square. A average square is 2 square, which is 0. So delta A mean square deviation is 0. That means root mean square deviation or uncertainty is 0. There is no spread. Okay. Let us consider another situation. So since there is no spread, that is why we call it sharp. There is no spread. It is sharp, like a spectral line. Okay. There is a single value. Now let us consider another situation. We measure A in a particular state. The state is not an eigenset of the operator. It's a general state. We get, we make 3 trials. We get values like this. In the first trial we get the value 1. Second trial we get the value 2. Third trial we get the value 3. So these are different eigenvalues of this operator. But these values are different. So we let's say that the variable A is dispersed in the state. Let us find out how much it is dispersed, a measure of the dispersion, okay, a measure of the spread. Okay, we can follow the same procedure. For that, let us calculate A square, we can calculate, okay. Maybe I will first calculate it using the standard definition of standard deviation by calculating root mean square deviation. So what is the average value? Average value is 1 plus 2 plus 3 divided by 3. Okay, average value is 2. Okay. Then let us calculate A minus A average. Okay, we are calculating root mean square deviation. So what is A minus A average? Oh, okay, it's a 3 values we will get. So this is the first value of A. What is A minus A average? 1 minus 2, we get minus 1. Then 2 minus 2, 0. 3 minus 2, 1. You can see that the average of A minus average is 0. Always it is so. Half the value are below, half the value are above, and average is 0. Okay, so you just by taking average of A minus A average, this is deviation. If you take mean deviation, you get 0. So that is why mean deviation does not give a spread of the individual results. Okay, so we take the square of this one in order to avoid this negative signs. So A minus A average square. This is called a mean square deviation. These are called square deviations. So what are the square deviations? 1, 0, 1. We are taking the square of these values. Then let's take a mean square deviation. So A minus A average square and the mean of that one. So that means we have to take the mean of this one, that is 1 plus 0 plus 1 divided by 3. That is 2 by 3, which is I round it up to 0.6667 like that, 0.666 like that. I am rounding up to 2 decimal points, so 0.67. Then then what is the uncertainty delta A? It is square root of this one, right? That is square root of mean of square of individual deviations, right? A minus A average square mean, then square root of, but therefore square root of 0.67, whatever that value is. That is the spread. So this gives you a measure of the spread of this data set, these individual values from the average value. Okay, so let us calculate it now using this formula: A square average minus A average square. Already we know what is A average. A average square is 4, but what is A square average? So for that we need the expression A square. So what are the A square values? 1, 4, 9. Okay, from this we can calculate A square average. What is A square average? 1 plus 4 plus 9 by 3. So we have 9 plus 4, 13 plus 1, 14 by 3, which is 4.67, right? Then what is delta A square? A square average, this is the formula: A square average minus A average square. A square average is 4.67 minus A average is this. So A average square is again 2 square. So 4.67 minus 4, we get 0.67. See, the mean square deviation calculated in this way and this way, that is using this formula: A square average minus A average square, they get the same value. So this formula is easier. Okay, once you get A, you find A square, you find the average value of A square. From this A, you get average value of A also. So you just take the average value of A and average value of A square and you subtract. Whereas in this way, you have a slightly longer step. You have to take one step is higher, is more. You have to take first the average, then square the average, then take the average value. Average value of the squares. So if you do this again using some other set, you will see that this formula is easier. So what I have shown is that this is an example of sharp value. Then in that case, the spread or the deviation, the uncertainty will be 0. There is no spread. That's why it's called sharp. And whereas this is dispersed, and in the case of dispersion, we can find a measure of dispersion, and a measure of dispersion is standard deviation or uncertainty. You can calculate it either using the long form, that is the root mean square deviation, or you can calculate using this short form, square root of a square average minus a average square. Both are identical. Now let us combine the idea of incompatible observables or incompatible operators and the measure of the spread when these operators are dispersed in a particular state. This will lead us to the uncertainty relationship between two incompatible operators. Okay, let us see what it means. First, we start by asking the question. Suppose the system is in a particular state, let us say ket alpha. Now, what is the result if we measure two incompatible observables, let us say A and B? They are incompatible, that means non-commuting operators. Suppose this state ket alpha is a general state for these two operators. Okay, then what is the result of measuring these physical quantities A and B in the same state? Okay, what is the result of measurement? See, if we measure A in this state, we know that since this is not an eigenket of A, the value of A will be dispersed in this state. So we get something like A1, A2, A3, etc. A is dispersed. And we can find the average value. We can also find the measure of the spread, that is uncertainty. Okay, we know how to calculate that. Now let us look at the another physical quantity B, and these are incompatible quantities. They are non-commuting. Okay, and for this physical quantity, we measure in the same state, but this state is again not an eigenket of B also. So what you get is the value of B is also dispersed in the state. Let us say B1, B2, B3, etc. And remember, these individual values are the eigenvalues of B. These individual values are the eigenvalues of A. Okay, so B is also dispersed. If it is dispersed, we can find the average value, and we can also find the measure of dispersion, uncertainty. Okay. So this will be the situation. If this state is an eigenket of one of the operators, let's say A, then the values of A will be sharp. Okay, all the individual trials will give the same eigenvalue, and what will be the average value? The same eigenvalue. What will be the dispersion? 0. But if it is not an eigenket of B, B will be 0. So if this is a general ket or not an eigenket of both A and B, both A and B will be dispersed with spread or uncertainties. If it is an eigenket of one of the operators, then its uncertainty will be 0 or spread will be 0, will be sharp, but the other will be dispersed. Okay. So whatever the situation, if you measure A and B, you are measuring A and B in the same state. It means that this spread in A and spread in B are measured in the same state. Then there will be a correlation between spread in A and spread in B. And this correlation relationship between this spread in A or uncertainty in A and uncertainty in B is called uncertainty relationship. So it's clear that between any two incompatible operators, that means between any two non-commuting operators, there will be, when you measure them in the same state, okay, there will be a spread in A and there will be a spread in B, there will be an uncertainty and there will be uncertainty in B. Since they are measured in the same state, there will be a correlation between them. And this general uncertainty relationship between two incompatible operators or two non-commuting operators is this: delta A into delta B is greater than or equal to 1 by 2 modulus, okay, 1 by I, where I is square root of minus 1, expectation value of commutator AB. This is the general uncertainty relationship between two non-commuting operators. You can see that on the right hand side we have the commutator AB. So if it commutes with each other, there is no such correlation. On the right hand side will be 0. But if they are non-commuting, then there will be such a correlation. So So let us look at it. It is an inequality, not an equation. It's an inequality. This product will be greater than or equal to half modulus 1 by I expectation value of commutator AB. This is the general uncertainty relationship between operators. Let us look at some examples. So, okay. Consider A as position X, position along the x-axis, and B as the momentum component along the x-axis. Okay. These are two non-commuting operators, and the commutation relation between them is x comma px is I h cross. This is the commutation relation between position and momentum along the same direction. Position along a particular direction and momentum along the same direction. So they are non-commuting operators. So what is the uncertainty relation between them? Delta x into delta px is greater than or equal to 1 by 2. Okay. If you what you get here, so this is IH cross. Okay. So you find the see what is the if you find the expectation value of this, you have to calculate the expectation value in a particular state. In which state? In this common state. That's why I am saying that delta A and delta B should be measured with respect to a particular state. Remember, in the calculation of delta, you have A square average minus A average square. So this average value you have to calculate with respect to a particular state. Similarly, delta B also involves B square average minus B average square, square root of that. So this average values in this calculation should be measured with respect to a particular state, and this are measured or calculated with respect to the same state. Okay. So on the right hand side, this expectation value is calculated with respect to the same state. Okay. So here we get IH cross, expectation value you get IH cross, I will cancel, modulus will be again H cross. So the right hand side what you get is simply H cross by 2. Delta x, delta px greater than or equal to H cross by 2, and this is called Heisenberg's uncertainty relationship. Between position and momentum. Okay. Heisenberg's uncertainty relationship between position and momentum. And this is often interpreted as, or the statement corresponding to this is something often you see in textbooks like this. Position and momentum along the same direction. Position of a particle along a particular direction and momentum along the same direction cannot be measured cannot be simultaneously measured. You see statements like this. And in books often the simultaneous measurement is often interpreted as cannot be measured at the same time. Okay, but I have clarified that the word simultaneous in this context of two incompatible observables only means that they don't have a common set of eigengates. Okay, so they cannot be simultaneously measured only means that we cannot measure them in the same, there is no simultaneous eigenket for these two operators. They are non-commuting operators, they are incompatible operators, they don't have a common or simultaneous set of eigengates. Okay, we cannot measure them at the same time, we can measure them only one after the other. So when you measure them one after the other, since they are non-commuting, okay, the order in which we take the measurement are important. And also, as we have seen in sequential Stern-Gerlach experiment, in the case of Sx and Sz, measurement of one will surely disturb measurement of the other. That's why they are incompatible. So they don't have common eigengate. That is the meaning when we say that they cannot be simultaneously measured. Okay, not at the same time. So in many books you can see the statement that they cannot be measured at the same time. That is not correct. Maybe simultaneously measured is correct, but simultaneous, the word meaning in common in English usage is at the same time. But here what we mean is common, in the sense of there are no common eigengates. Maybe that is an unfortunate choice of the word simultaneous eigengates. We should have used simply common. Okay. So this is Heisenberg's uncertainty relationship. You can see that it's a special case of this general uncertainty relationship. And also another point that you have to remember in this connection is this type of a commutation relation between position and momentum. This is again a special case of commutation relationship. A special case of commutation relationship between two canonically conjugate variables. So I will write the general expression. So if A is some Qj, this corresponds to position here, but it need not be position always. And B is some Pj, or let's say Pk. Okay. So let's say this is a canonical position, this is a canonical momentum, and then the canonical commutation relation between this position and momentum variables you can write like this: IH cross delta Jk. That means if this J and K are different, right hand side is 0. Okay, that means it only means that if Qj corresponds to x variable, Pk corresponds to momentum along some other direction. Let us say this is x. If k is different, x comma py. Okay, x comma py will be 0. There is no, they are commuting variables. Position along a particular direction, let's say x direction. Momentum along another direction, y direction, they are commuting variables. Similarly, x and pz are commuting variables. Y and px, y and pz, they are all commuting variables. So if j and k are different, position along one direction, momentum along another direction, right hand side is 0. They are commuting variables. Well, non-commuting variables are position along a particular direction and momentum along that same direction. See, if k is equal to j, this Kronecker delta will be 1, you get IH cross on the right side. Okay, so this particular commutation relation is a special case of this generalized this is called canonical commutation relation. Commutation relation between two canonically conjugate variables. Okay, so this is called canonical commutation rule between two canonically conjugate variables. And this Qj or Q and P need not be position and a linear momentum. This Q can be an angle along measured around a particular axis. Then P will be angular momentum measured along the same axis. For example, this is one case. Another case you can say Qj is equal to phi, azimuthal angle measured around the z axis. Then Pj will be, if K is different from j, right hand side is anyway 0. There is no uncertainty relationship. So let us take K is equal to 0. Pj will be angular momentum measured along the axis. So this angle is measured around z axis. So this is the angular momentum along the z axis, Lz. Then the commutation relation is phi Lz is IH cross. Okay, and the uncertainty relation will be delta phi into delta Lz, okay, greater than or equal to h cross by 2 again, just like this. Okay, this part will be phi Lz, IH cross, I will cancel, we get h cross by 2. So Heisenberg uncertainty relationship between position and momentum is again a class, it belongs to a class of uncertainty relationship. And another example is this. In general, we can say there is an uncertainty relationship between canonically conjugate variables delta Qj into delta Pk greater than or equal to h cross by 2 times delta Jk. Okay, that is called uncertainty relationship between two canonically conjugate variables. This is one example, this is another example. Okay, but there can be uncertainty relationship between variables which are not canonically conjugate. Consider the second example. We know that this two different components of spin do not commute with each other. Consider the x component and z component of spin. The commutation relation is Sz comma Sx equal to IH cross Sy. We have established this relationship earlier, and there are cyclic relations we can write. So that means Sz and why I consider these two variables are because we have already discussed them using sequential Stirner-like experiments. So there is these are non-commuting operators Sz and Sx. So there is a commutation relation between them. You can see that this is not a canonical commutation relation. In canonical commutation relation, on the right side we get either 0 or IH cross, x comma px, phi comma Lz is IH cross. But this is not IH cross, you have some other operator here. So these are not canonically conjugate variables. So what is the uncertainty relation between them? Delta Sh into delta Sx is greater than or equal to, okay. Here what you have is half modulus 1 by I expectation value of this commutator. But what is this commutator? IH cross Sy. Then this I will cancel. So what you have is H cross you can take out. So what you have is delta Sh delta Sx greater than or equal to H cross by 2 expectation value of Sy. Expectation value is a number, so modulus of that is simply this. Okay, so here this is an example of an uncertainty relationship which is not uncertainty relationship between two canonically conjugate variables. In the case of two canonically conjugate variables, right hand side will be H cross by 2, as in the case of x and px, as in the case of phi and Lz. So this is the situation there. Okay, so this is a result of what our starting question. What happens when you measure two incompatible operators in the same state, which is a general state, which is not an eigenstate for these two operators? So what happens is A will be dispersed, B also will be dispersed. So consequently, we can calculate the spread in A and spread in B, uncertainty in A and uncertainty in B in the same state. Since these uncertainties are calculated in the same state, they have a correlation, and that correlation is called general uncertainty relationship between two incompatible operators or two non-commuting operators, and we have seen some examples. So next in the next class I will prove this general uncertainty relationship, and before that let us consider this particular case of spin half system, and let us look at this uncertainty relationship in more detail. Okay, we will look at spin half system. Again, we have seen some numerical example of what is meant by sharp value, what is meant by diffused value. Let us consider our familiar system, spin half system, and this time let us see what is meant by sharp value, what is meant by diffused value or dispersed value, and we will calculate these. Let us take this delta Sz and delta Sx. Let us calculate the left hand side and right hand side separately, and let us establish, let us verify this uncertainty relationship in the context of spin half system. Let us consider this specific system. Suppose our state is Sz plus. Okay. So all the particles, we have a beam of spin half particles, all of them in the state Sz plus. That means the z component of their spin is plus h cross by 2. Okay. Now, if we measure Sh in this state, what will be the result of measurement? This we have discussed before in the context of sequential Stirner-like experiment. What will be the result? If you measure Sh when the particles are already in the state Sh plus, all the particles will again in the same state. Okay. So each measurement will give you the particle will be deflected upward, or let us say plus h cross by 2. So each measurement will give plus h cross by 2, plus h cross by 2, like that. We say that Sz is sharp, okay, in this state, and we can find the average value of Sh. Average value of Sh will be again plus h cross by 2, right? And we can find the Sh square. Sh square values will be h cross square by 4, h cross square by 4, etc. and the average value of Sz square will be h cross square by 4. So what is the spread? The spread is delta Sz square, average value of Sz square minus Sz average square. So this is h cross square by 4, and Sz average square will be h cross square by 4. The spread, the mean square deviation is 0. So the mean deviation is also, so root mean square deviation, that is uncertainty is also 0. And that's why Sz is said to be sharp in this state. Okay. Suppose we measure Sx in this state. Sx in this same state. The state is Sh plus, and we are measuring Sx. And this again we have seen in the discussion of the sequential Stern-Gerlach experiment. If the state is this and we measure Sx, half the particles will be in plus h cross by 2 state, Sx plus state, half the particles will be in Sx minus state. That means what are the results of individual measurement? We get plus h cross by 2, then we may get minus h cross by 2, again we may get plus h cross by 2, minus h cross by 2, next will be minus h cross by 2, and it goes on. 50% of particles, 50% of the trials will give plus h cross by 2, 50% of the trials will give minus h cross by 2. That's why we say that half the particles are in plus h cross by 2, half the particles are in minus h cross by 2. This is the situation. So we can see that it is dispersed between minus h cross by 2 and plus h cross by 2. It is dispersed. And what is the average value? Average value of Sx. Since half the particles are in plus h cross by 2, or half the trials give the value plus h cross by 2 and the other half give the value minus h cross by 2, average value will be 0. So the expectation value of Sx, when the state is Sz plus, the expectation value of Sx will be 0. We can find the spread. So how do we find the spread? We can, let us find out Sx square. Sx square values are, when you take the square, we get h cross square by 4. All the plus and minus values will give h cross square by 4. Okay. Average value of Sx square will be h cross square by 4. Since all the values are h cross square by 4, average value of Sx square will be h cross square by 4. So what is delta Sx square? Okay, we get Sx square average minus Sx average square. Sx square average is h cross square by 4, but Sx average is 0. So this part is 0. So what you get is h cross square by 4. Therefore, that uncertainty in the square root mean square deviation, or the uncertainty will be the square root of this one. We get h cross by 2. The modulus of that. Okay. Modulus of the square root. We get h cross by 2. So this is the spread. Remember, what is the meaning of spread? How much the individual value deviates from the average value. Average value is 0. What are the individual values? Either plus h cross by 2 or minus h cross by 2. So average value is 0. So the spread is either plus h cross by 2 or minus h. So the magnitude of the spread is h cross by 2. Okay. Either you get plus h cross by 2 or minus h cross by 2. Average value is 0. So the magnitude of the spread from the average is h cross by 2. That's why we get h cross by 2. Okay. If you repeat this calculation with Sy, if the state is Sz plus and we measure Sy, you get the same result. Half the values will be in plus h cross by 2, half the values will be in minus h cross by 2. Expectation value of Sy will be 0. Sy square average value will be h cross square by 4, and the uncertainty in Sy, delta Sy will be h cross by 2. The spread will be h cross by 2. So let us try the uncertainty relationship in the case of Sx and Sy. So far we have made the following results. This is our state Sz plus. Okay. And when you measure Sh, what you get is average value of Sh is h cross by 2. Okay. All the individual values give h plus h cross by 2. So the average value of Sh is also plus h cross by 2. And when you measure delta Sz is 0. And when you measure Sx and Sy, what you get is average values are different, and you get delta Sx is h cross by 2, delta Sy is also h cross by 2. This much we have got. Okay, so what is the uncertain? We know that Sx and Sy are two non-commuting variables. We know that Sx, Sy commutation relation is IH cross SH. So they are non-commuting variables. They are incompatible variables. So there is an uncertainty relationship between them. Let us find out the uncertainty relationship using the general uncertainty formula, uncertainty relationship. And also we know the particular values from the system, and let us verify whether the general uncertainty relationship is correct in this case. Okay. So what is the general uncertainty relationship in the context of this Sx and Sy? Delta Sx, delta Sy must be greater than or equal to 1 by 2 modulus 1 by I expectation value of Sx, Sy, commutator Sx, Sy. This is the general uncertainty relationship. Instead of A, I have substituted Sx, instead of B, I have substituted Sy. That's all. Now let us see what it is. Delta Sx, delta Sy is greater than or equal to what is this Sx, Sy? It is IH cross Sn. If you substitute that, I will cancel, H cross will come out. Okay, and what you get is H cross by 2 expectation value of Sh. This is it. The uncertainty relationship between Sx and Sy. Let us check whether this is true by calculating left hand side separately and right hand side separately. Okay, what you from left hand side is, what is delta Sx into delta Sy? See, delta Sx is h cross by 2, delta Sy is h cross by 2. So we have h cross by 2 into h cross by 2, that is h cross square by 4. Okay, and look at the right hand side. Right hand side is h cross by 2 into, what is average value of Sh? If the state, remember the state is this. Okay, we are in a state which is an eigenstate of Sh. So average value of Sh is h cross by 2. So what you get for the right hand side is h cross square by 4. Okay, so in this case left hand side is h cross square by 4. Right hand side is also h cross square by 4. So this corresponds to the minimum uncertainty product. Delta Sx into delta Sy, the minimum can be equal to h cross by 2 average value of Sh. So in this situation, left hand side and right hand side are equal, h cross square by 4. So that corresponds to the minimum uncertainty product. So it holds good here. In this particular case, the state is an eigenket of Sh. That's why this is like this. Now suppose the state is not an eigenstate of Sh, but a general state. That means a general state for Sh, Sx and Sy. It's not an eigenstate of any of these states. Then what happens? If it's a completely general state, there will be the Sh values will be dispersed, plus h cross by 2 minus h cross by 2, like that. Sx values will be dispersed, Sy values will be dispersed. Okay. Then the situation of Sh will be just like that of Sx and Sy. Average value of Sh will be, what happens then? If Sh is dispersed, again the individual results of individual measurement are eigenvalues of Sh. What are the eigenvalues of Sh? Either plus h cross by 2 or minus h cross by 2. So if it's a general state for this Sh also, then in that case what happens is the average value of Sh also will be 0. Just like the average value of Sx and Sy. Average value of Sh also will be 0. Then in such a situation, the right hand side will be 0. Okay, left hand side is h cross square by 4. Right hand side is 0. Then also this relationship is correct, because the product left hand side is greater than or equal to this thing. Okay, if the state is an eigenstate of Sh, then left hand side is equal to right hand side, h cross square by 4. But if it is not an eigenstate of Sh, right hand side will be 0, left hand side is greater than or equal to 0. That's fine. Okay, because the right hand side is now not an eigenstate of Sh, so average value of Sh also will be 0. Okay, so in this in the context of spin-half system, we have verified that how this uncertainty relationship is there between two non-commuting operators. Okay, so in the next class we will discuss the proof of the general uncertainty relationship between two non-commuting operators.